Go. Now, another interesting story is about Stephen Cahoon. Stephen Cahoon owned property on Main Street where the library is now. He had his home right where the memorial is on the library lawn. Right in the center, he had his property, and on the end he had bonds. And he did all kinds of, he was an entrepreneur. He did repair work, carriage work, all kinds of, he owned land on Shore Street, near the old babies, which I could tell you a story about later, but I won't go into that. But let's go back. Steve Cahoon also owned the land across the street where Cahoon Court is. He had all that land. Through the years, houses moved from Main Street onto that land. And he utilized it. And down the end, the very end of Cahoon Court, started a little swamp. It would dry up in the summer, but it was, a little swamp. Well, the very last house, Doyle's had a Roman house, the end of Cahoon Court, in 1916, 17 back then. Then there was an old barn right down the end of Cahoon Court. In back of it was that swamp. Now, getting back to the old stagecoach that ran in Falmouth to North Falmouth, maybe a couple of trips to Boston, I'm not sure about it. But William Hewins was the driver back then. They'd come to Falmouth, stop at North Falmouth Inn, and down cellar in North Falmouth Inn, they had chains. If they had a prisoner, they put him in the cellar in chains while the guests stayed upstairs. Then the next day they had to make it to Falmouth. Now, in 1872, the railroad came in. That was the end of the stagecoach. They went all the way to Woods Hole, the railroad. That's the end. Now, what happened to that stagecoach? Unfortunately, there wasn't that interest in it. It was just an old relic. It took me years, but I figured out. When we were kids now, in the 30s, my brother and his friend, now I'm a little boy, my brother had to take care of me then, and he was stuck with me, but we went down behind the old shed at the end of, the old garage at the end of Cahoon Court, and in the swamp out back. We looked, it was dry in the summer, we looked. That looks like a framework. We saw framework. Oh, that looks like an old stagecoach. The framework, skeletal works. God, we went through the reeds, and sure enough, there was a skeleton. You knew it was a stagecoach. The shape, the outline, the wheels were all rotted down in the, and the old leather seats with springs sticking up. It was gone. But we knew it was, and by God, where did that come from? We were kids, we didn't know. It was years later I found out. Mr. Cahoon, Steve Cahoon, who owned the property and took care of it, after the stagecoach went out with the railroad, he evidently took the stage and wheeled it down Cahoon Court and put it in that barn. And after a few years, the automobile, why keep that old stagecoach? Wheeled it down around back, pushed it in the swamp, where it just stayed and rotted. Sad ending. If we only knew now, we would do everything to protect that old stagecoach. But no foresight then. It's gone by era. Away with it. But I think that's it. And by the way, Steve Cahoon, one more story. He owned land on Shore Street. The Beebes, EPS and BB, one of them, owned that big estate on Shore Street. And of course, Mr. Cahoon wanted to sell the land to the Beebes. He wanted to make money. He didn't need that land. So BB refused his price. No, too much. Too much, I'm not paying it. So, Mr. Cahoon, smart businessman, he got all the junk, old wagon wheels and old buggies so broken down, and loaded the property with junk. Well, by God, the Beebes would look out across, set up a beautiful field, they'd see all that junk. Oh, they complain, no, you can't do nothing, that's my property, I can put whatever I want there. Finally, sure enough, Beebes bought it at his price. We'll buy it, take that junk away, we'll buy the property. That's a true story. All right, we'll close on that one.